Hi guys and welcome to BombAnime.
It's your girl Bruca.
And Big Boy Summer here. ZOM 100, episode 2.
First of all, Tendo wakes up from a nightmare, and the nightmare is that he's at work. In all honesty, the actual nightmare itself, the stressful situation, the way that manager was talking to them, it feels more like it's a nightmare, but it was a flashback. It felt like the things that he was saying were things that he actually said in the office, like, oh, you've got 100-degree fever, too bad, that's your business. And then obviously it had extra nightmare elements where he was smacking his hand on the table and then it started to become like a pool of blood. It kind of incorporated the way your brain works when you're having like a bad dream based on real events, but everything's kind of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, Tendo's got legit PTSD, and it seems that the only cure for his type of PTSD is a zombie apocalypse. And I've never seen a guy so happy. Like I said this last episode, and I'm gonna say it again. My guy is happy. He goes, this is the best day of my life. I've had 3 years of acting like a work machine, and now I'm free. Singing songs about beer. My guy is happy. He even met new people today. As I said, he's got that Deku stupidness that you just love, brother. It's nice to watch a happy character for once, you know? Whose parents didn't die yet. How many characters do we know where it's some really huge tragic backstory?
He decides on his first full day of a zombie apocalypse that he is going to go on a beer run because he wants to just chill out. This is the first day that he'll actually be able to have a break in several years, to be honest. So he decides he's going to have a chill day. He's going to drink beer all day, and he runs out. So he makes a beer run and he runs into another person. But he also tidies his house. Like he says it's 3 years worth of cleaning, and he feels like this new person.
Clean house, clean mind. I loved it. I literally predicted it was going to happen before it happened, because that's what I would probably do. It was probably a great way to preempt the trauma that's going to happen when the reality slaps you in the face. So sometimes you just need to cleanse it all out, you know?
The girl that he meets in this convenience store is writing a list of how not to become a zombie, while Tendo makes one on what he wants to do before he becomes a zombie. And she's also studying the same zombie movie to stay alive that Tendo was watching for fun and as part of his fantasy scenario. It's the same duality that's been going from the first episode, but I love how these two people are real opposites. But you've got to admit, Tendo seems to have a thing for girls with red eyes. Let's talk about Nameless New Girl.
Yeah, so Nameless New Girl is your typical tsundere. She's a little bit prickly, doesn't really want to be inviting and warming, has her own goals and is doing her own thing. And I like the fact that she's very matter of fact about it. She's got her list, she's got her survival techniques, she knows exactly what she wants to do. It's funny how both of them are writing lists, but one list is for frivolity and the other list is to make sure that, they don't die. But they're both here. So both of the lists are working, I guess. You know what I mean? These two are characters that can survive a zombie apocalypse, and they're approaching it in completely different ways. And it just pays homage to the whole Gap Moe thing that's going on in this anime, and I love it.
I don't really think that she's a tsundere at all. I think that she is a driven career woman. Based off of where she's holed up in her old office. She was talking about connecting to other branches that are around the world, which is telling me that she's career driven. She's probably quite high up in the totem pole of everything, and she's approaching this zombie apocalypse the way she probably approached her work. She seems as if she doesn't have a lot of people around her even before. I really suspect that work was probably her entire life, just like Tendo, but in a completely different bracket. They're not in the same bracket. Also, her office is huge, which is making me think that she also earned quite a bit of money. Her office included a treadmill. Granted, it might not be her actual office. It could be just some empty office she managed to go into, but I'm not getting that vibe at all. It's giving me this is her office that she worked in. I don't think that she has very great people skills. However, when she was rewatching the footage of like Tendo coming in, first she dismissed him immediately. She was like, oh my god, he wants beer. He's not prioritizing, which he obviously isn't. But after she was rewatching it, she seemed to like him a little bit more, like to kind of understand him a little bit more and to figure out, oh, maybe there is something about him that allowed him to survive, even though he seems kind of unassuming, deco stupid, and just like he doesn't have his ish together at all. I think that he even made her question her way of doing things because she wants to take in less sugar. A lot of the things on her list are things that are going to keep her alive, staying fit, taking vitamins so that she doesn't get sick, all of this kind of stuff, and she didn't get a snack. When she got home and she was looking at him with the beer in his bag, she was like, you know what? Maybe I should have gotten a little treat.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. She's awesome. That's the kind of dependable person you want in charge. She's got people skills. It's just that she's probably used to leading people rather than being friends with people or seeing them as companions, and that's probably where she's lacking. However, in the zombie apocalypse, who do you want on your side? Mr. Deku Stupid or Nameless Girl? Do you get what I mean? And I kind of resent the comment you made about priorities. Yes, I resent her for making the same comment, but at the end of the day, their priorities are just different. His priority is not to survive. His priority is to have fun, and he's just doing that. I still feel like he's not thrown himself fully into his ZOM 100 list. I feel like even though we're seeing a snippet into his life, this is the stage where he's kind of getting to grips with it, but he's denying it himself. I get that kind of vibe from him, where he's thrust into a situation. Yes, it's got a huge benefit in his eyes, but still, it's very, very different.
I mean, yeah, he is not trying to survive, but he does want to complete his list of 100, and for that, he's going to need water. He's going to need food. You know, he's going to need these types of... He's going to need toilet paper. He's going to need soap. So, either way you slice it, the crate full of beer, it's good for today. He needs to make another run tomorrow.
With a hangover.
At a different place, because this place is... Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. And if you want even more content, hit us up on BombAnime Inst.
So, like, let's be honest. He met a couple on his way to the shop, and he was like, they're his neighbors, and he was talking to them and said, yo, I'm going to the shop, do you want me to get you anything? And they were like, yeah, get me X, get me Y, blah blah blah. On his way back, zombies have overrun their house and they're nowhere to be seen, and it's presumed that they're no longer with us. Now, that is the stark reality, and the mantra that he keeps saying to himself, his daily affirmation is, you can die today or you can die in 60 years. And it's very powerful that he has taught himself to persevere through things. I mean, throughout when he was working for the company in episode 1, we saw that he would always try and spin it into a positive in order to keep himself motivated, and he's very good at self-motivation. And I think that's what's going to see him through the tougher times of this situation, because let's be honest, everyone he knows could be dead, and that's just the reality of the situation. And I like the way that the anime does it by bringing the music down, making the colours slightly muted and darker, and showing the slight reality, only in snippets, but it's there.
I would say his biggest strength is perseverance, and he's learned that through his job, staying on. The reason why he actually stayed on was for the other people that worked there. He didn't want to make their lives harder. So although, yeah, he has this air about him, he also has the deco stupidness of wanting to save everybody. And we saw that in the convenience store as well when he jumped in front of this nameless girl. He hasn't figured out getting any weapons or anything to protect himself, but he was just going to protect her with his body, not considering the fact that if he protected her with his body and got nabbed, he would then eat her. But whatever. Oh, you dirty. Okay. He also had on his list a bunch of things about family members, friends, meeting with friends, and That makes sense because he probably wouldn't have been doing this while he was working all these crazy hours, not going home. He would have fallen out, well, not fallen out, but like fallen off with his friends and his family, spending time with any of them for all the years that he's been at this job. And now that he has the time, he wants to go ahead and meet them. But we've got to think about the reality. The reality of it is that they're probably dead. They're probably already zombies. And I thought that it was really interesting that after he was writing his list about all his family and friends, we cut to the girl and she's watching the zombie movie, the one that we saw at the beginning. And the main protagonist of that movie, he's at the end and he's like, yes, I finally made my way out. I escaped. And then he gets bitten by a zombie. I feel like there's a bit of foreshadowing there.
Whoa.
Because when we actually saw the image of Tendo's, who I think is his dad, from the side profile, he kind of looked similar to the main protagonist of the movie.
He did. And I was like, yep, this is a death flag right here. I guess we all know how this is going to end. It's actually a banger.
But this is called ZOM 100, so I want to talk a little bit about the zombies. The zombies are quite strange in this anime. They incorporate a couple of things that we already know, but there's one thing that's really interesting, and it's that they seem to have some kind of radar, some kind of sense about where the living are, whether they can see them or not. And actually, Tendo running out of beer and going on that beer run probably saved his life. Because the other people, their apartment got completely broken into and they got turned into zombies. Tendo just looked over his balcony and a zombie immediately looked directly at him. She wasn't facing him. She looked at him as if she could sense that a living creature was nearby. Truly, he probably got saved by his impromptu beer run.
Maybe he got saved, maybe he didn't. Because my guy was climbing up and down drainage pipes. He would have probably got away. But still, it's a little bit...
But he would have lost his safe
haven. Yeah, he would have lost his home. But it is scary, isn't it? These zombies aren't normal zombies. And the fact that Nameless Girl has been categorizing them as runners and walkers is a little bit frightening. You watch a zombie movie, like she said, there's one or the other. They're not normally walkers and runners. And if it's runners, there's less zombies. And if it's walkers, there's more zombies. And that's a little bit of trivia for you guys. Yes, I am a zombie movie fan. And you can't tell by looking at them unless they're coming to get you. Bruv, that is mad frightening. I couldn't. I'm not running around saying I'm free in this situation. I'm running around going, yep, take me now. I'm gone. Game over.
She actually helped me out because I had assumed that when people first turn into zombies, they had more energy, more life energy. So they were running and they were quite fast. And then the longer they remained zombies, the slower they got. But she's actually said that there's just two categories. I mean, maybe I could still be right with my original assumption, but considering that ZOM 100 is gone, to the trouble of pointing this out for the audience makes me feel like there's just two separate categories. And it will be interesting as to why someone would fall into each one, because it doesn't seem to be because of their age or even weight or anything like that. It seems to just be random.
Also, we saw a third kind of zombie in episode 1, which I wanted to talk about last time. The boss. He seemed to power up for some reason. That's
his body was morphing.
His body was morphing and getting bigger and looked like he was turning Super Saiyan, but the zombie version. And I was like, that's interesting. But now that there's someone actually, taking the time to categorize and give us more information through a really well-designed plot device, by the way. The characterization is good here. I like the fact that they've stuck to the storytelling and not just, made it a comedy for comedy's sake or this for that sake. They've actually told a great story here as well.
I actually think that he wasn't a boss necessarily because he didn't have much attack power, but the way that his body was morphing, there was a lot of fluids coming out of him. I saw him more as a virus spore, where it's certain individuals that are spreading it even more from their person, not just through the bite.
I didn't mean boss as in he's a boss monster. I meant boss because it was...
Oh, he was the boss.
It was
yeah.
his boss. But that's actually interesting because we still don't know how it started. We don't know how it spread. All we've seen is people getting eaten out. But we haven't seen like the genesis or what's going on or who's patient zero or how did they cook it up in the lab? You know what I mean? We haven't seen any of that stuff.
Well, the thing is, in episode 1, it was on the TV, but he was so tired from work, he was just flipping the channels. They actually had news stories talking about the outbreak and potentially about what was going on, but he just flipped through all of that. The information might very well have been given to people. We just didn't get to see it.
I feel I was a little bit harsh last week. I gave it 9.5 out of 10, and I should have given it a 10 last week. But this week is definitely a 9.5 out of 10 because it is.
For me, this episode is a 7.5. It was a really good episode. I still really enjoyed it, but this episode wasn't really about anything apart from introducing us to a new character that we're going to see a lot more of. And the beginning of the title coming true, him creating his bucket list. If you've made it this far, you're a real one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to get more of our episodes. See you on the next one. Peace.